Howdy, y'all. Stock Warden here, looking at Palantir Technologies, and oh, how they have jumped. So, we've been sticking with this stock for a long time. I hope y'all watched the video yesterday morning over the Q2 earnings reports that came out and how they completely demolished and destroyed and surpassed all expectations. Over here in the earnings report, just on the simple side of things, they were looking at putting in an actual of 1.4 on the estimate, but they came out with a 1.6, which is just back on track and on par with Palantir, boosting through everything. If you want to get a deeper dive into how their Q2 earnings report came through, you can go back, and I'll leave a link in the description and also at the end of the video on my previous Q2 earnings report, so then you can get up to date on everything Palantir financially wise. But let's go ahead and get into today's video. This is a huge jump. It has been a long time since Palantir has just immediately started way up past its resistance line, and not only that, starting way up high at a price target that we had just talked about yesterday that it came through, because they were talking a huge game with all of the amazing skyrockets with how well their revenues, contracts, U.S. Defense Department, and their now ever so growing commercial footprint as well. They had D.A. Davidson had a price target raised to 170 from yesterday, and then also they had their full year revenue boosted, and so they also had ended up looking sideways into this. They're also saying that all of this is overpriced and overhyped. So with the global market coming down hard today, where practically the entire market across the board, your NASDAQ and your S&P, they were all trending downward for the day today among a lot of the tariff talks. Once again, showing some more market volatility for what's happening in the White House. So, but as time has went on and as time has progressed, we've been able to see how the product of the White House ended up showing that it didn't just show volatility in the market where it pushed everything down really hard. If you go all the way back into the February, where they ended up showing just how bad that the scarcity of markets can deplete and throw the stock market into a frenzy. But all it did was it just bided a little bit of time for everybody to buy low and to be able to continue this amazing upward, way upward, and even higher upward trend that Palantir has been putting out and doing such an amazing job at, with how their company and their business model is being pursued time and time again, over and over, contract after contract, showing just how relevant they are no matter what the tariffs are talking about. So now there is a new price target just in the next day after the quarter earnings reports came through, and we already had a couple of 170s targeted. Now Citigroup is maintaining a price target on Palantir up to 177. So that's a new high once again. It's just never ending, guys. This stock is continuing straight up, and it seems like there's just about no end in sight. Now, given Citigroup is maintaining a neutral on Palantir with its current status, because with such a high jump like it did from the pre-market to whenever it actually opened, and having a candle prod, just as high and just as low from where the actual was, where it closed out, then it's showing that there's no telling where necessarily the stock is going to go from here. It is possible that the stock can continue on an upward trend and blow through the new price target of 177 and get into the 180s, because there was I forget who it was. I'll have to go back and do some research on it, and I'll drop it in the description. But there was somebody that had posted through one of the major banks said that Palantir was to hit over 200 a share by the end of the third quarter or before the end of the fourth quarter in 2025, which, with their product growth, their earnings, and all the estimates that have come through where they are breaking $1 billion, it's just absolutely astronomical to believe how hard that this stock is pushed and the earnings that they're getting, where 200 seems like it's going to be some light work to make it to the end of the year. So especially with a good $10 jump just like this, with a huge, huge increase. So it's looking like it's just going to steamroll straight up into that 200 spot. Now, some of this reason is a big deal because there is a lot of companies that are pushing into Palantir. So they ended up having 346 specific trades, but if you look at the specifics of each of those trades, it is accurate to state that 44% of the investors opened trades with bullish expectations, and 34% of those trades opened with bearish expectations. So because of how high this stock jumped so fast, and to watch how far it might possibly kind of fall back into the old resistance line like we were talking about earlier, where we're going to end up seeing something maybe ride off of the 160. So we can have another trend where we have a resistance line that's going to stay flatlined practically across the 160. So don't be surprised if after a jump like this we might see a little bit of a drawback, but I believe it will bounce off of this resistance line and continue going forward. Just with the history of this stock and with the history of how the government and Wall Street and all the public scarcity has determined with this stock, it's going to continue to trend upwards no matter what. So it's really not, hey, buy low, sell high. This stock is a buy and hold and just watch the money grow, baby. So overall, 109 of these trades were put into a total amount of $7,871. So they also had 237 calls, which were a total amount of $17,326,000. So that's just yet another huge price movement that you could end up seeing for how their trend ended up coming in for their earnings and how their stocks were actually moving through in here for such a day like they had today. So their new price window has ended up coming up from the lower end of things, I guess you could say, where the price window starts at $35 a share. Now, you know, I know, everybody knows. Yes, this stock is overhyped, but it is not overhyped to the point where it would be all the way down to $35 a share. But on the high side of things is that the price window is at $240 a share. So, but that is also during this current quarter that we are in right now. So that's also what they're possibly looking at for the last 30 days on how they've pushed up, because they have all called for a sweeping neutral over the past few months, and what they're believing the next few months is going to be is all going to be sweeping neutral, except there are 2 calls for bullish and 1 call for bearish. So all the strike pricings are above where we're at now. All the strike pricings are looking at 170 up to 180 to 220 on top of that. So they are definitely predicting that this stock is going to continue to jump, continue to roll, but there is always that one negative Nancy to push everything down slightly and just try to bring some people back to reality, but there is no scarcity whatsoever for this stock. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope I was able to get y'all a little bit more secure in why this jump happened for today. and also what possibly to expect in the coming days with all of the tariff talks, along with the global trade issues that are coming through. So it is possible we could see some dip, but with the way the resistance lines have been and historically showing, we'll still stay above the 160 resistance line, where we should continue back on this upward trend. And honestly, it could be a complete turnaround. It could just go straight from 173 and continue to go positive. So the graph chart for this is going to be completely unknown. So because we can go from here to here, or we can turn around and we can stay where we're at from this amazing jump that we had today and just bring it straight on up into the 180s. So practically there is no technical resistance line up. We just know where the price target is. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Subscribe to be able to keep up to date and learn more. So subscribe, like, comment, and I will see y'all next time. So this is the Stock Warden riding off. Y'all come back now, you hear?